All right, welcome to this webinar. I'm excited to be here and share this with you. My face is a little messed up, so I'll go right into it. All right, from chaos to connection. Today, you're going to learn how to unlock the number one communication secret to end the fights in your marriage without waiting for him to change or passing the pain on to your kids. And this is a truth that no other coach or counselor or therapist will tell you. So, just to make sure that you're in the right place to spend the next 60 minutes with me, this is for you. This is for ambitious wives, or you don't have to be legally married, but in a committed relationship and who are wanting to create a better relationship and stop fighting, willing to look at what you can do right now. Very important. And you're open to a new path and a different way. And last but not least, you're ready to finally get a different result. And that, ladies and or gentlemen, if you're also listening, that you get by thinking and acting different. All right, so that's you. And just to make sure that this really is for you and just to tune in. Does this sound like you? Please answer in the chat, or if you're watching on replay, feel free to shoot me a message. You have a lot of love for your husband, but it just comes out the wrong way sometimes. And I'm also curious to hear if you send long text messages to your husband thinking if only he understood this one little thing. So let me know in the chat if you ever tried to explain something to your man. Very, very important thing to notice. Do you end up explaining something? Okay, so who's this not for? This is not for you if you want to wait for him to change or to do or not do XYZ or YZX. If you want to be right about your story, and if you are not open to a new path and a different way, if you're not ready to try something new, i.e., look at your own ass, so to speak. So, to get the life and love life that you deserve, you get to be willing. You don't need to be able, but willing. So, since you're here, you're willing. Woo! Welcome. You must be willing. You're sitting here, right? So, all right. So, you're willing, but you feel stuck. Let me know if that's you. And you feel powerless. Can you relate to those two terms? I know I could. Very stuck and very powerless. And let me know if you feel that you're managed by your emotions. Very important. Do you feel that no matter how hard you try, nothing works out and you just don't know what to do? Do you dream of being able to the following? If yes, answer P for peace in the chat. You want to be able to speak your truth when needed in a loving, kind way and have a peaceful love existence, regardless of how they are, meaning your husband and kids. Is this what you want? If this you, please answer fulfilled in the chat. I want my relationship to flourish with love so my life is fulfilled emotionally. It's a quote from one of my clients, and I can relate to that. Let me know if you can relate to it too. You don't have to have all of these rights, but it's interesting to know, so share it. Do you want to stop being so angry? It's not for everybody, but it's for some of you. So if that's you, please answer A in the chat so I can see how many of you have that desire inside of you. Do you ever think what I'm doing does not work? It's a very important part. And if you do feel that, you're actually further along than you may think. Put double V in the chat if that's you. What I'm doing does not work. It's actually a great realization, but it can feel very, very disempowering. Do you sometimes tell yourself this? Put XYC in the chat if this is you. Oh, very important part. We cannot live together when XYC. Do you have some kind of story? Mine was I can't live together with him and be happy when he's so messy. This rationality that you think is reality. that rhymes. Rationality that you perceive as reality. That's XYZ. What story do you have that has I cannot live together when? Right, great. Okay. So hopefully we'll change some of these stories today together. But before we start, let's just go one step deeper. Do you sometimes tell yourself this? I will never change. This will never change. Some variation of these stories in whatever language you're speaking. These two feelings or stories. Do you deep down tell yourself this? And answer F in the chat if that's you. I'm a failure at love. This is my thing that I felt. And when I feel it, I can't be in it. I want to fix it. I want to escape from it. I want to run from it. Maybe it's not that exact phrase, but some variation maybe. Your stories are very important. Do you deep down inside say this to yourself? I am destroying everything, myself, again. I know this is my story. It may not be yours exactly, but it's very important to realize and to know that you're in the right place and to really grab a hold of this. I'm afraid of hurting my kids. This may not be you, but let me know if it is, because and of damaging my family. And it may also just be a little like sense of this, because if that's you, do stay tuned. Don't leave, okay? Please do not leave, because this is your opportunity to set yourself free from the prison of emotions that you've been trapped in probably your entire life. So it's very, very important that you stay tuned and you get this help, because you're going to be in that prison for the rest of your life when these stories and these emotions are mixed up and they look like reality, right? Reality rhymes with free. It's a fake reality, and I can help you. So please stay tuned and take this coaching in, because for the next 45 to 60 minutes, I will give you the real key to communication that nobody else talks about. Okay, here's the camera. Figuring out where to look. All right. Okay. And sorry, show you that it works. And even after failing, love is still a choice you have, even after complete disaster and it feels like failure and there's no way out. Love is a choice. And today I will inspire you to apply what you've learned by making the number one promise, as I call it, that really shifts everything. Okay. Last but not least, why you should stay till the end. I'm going to invite you to book a free 45-minute stop fighting session. You probably heard this before. I know lots of people have this offer. But what I'm also going to do, I'll play a testimonial, and I'm not kidding, of how one conversation completely shifted Isabella's love life. So don't minimize this opportunity of taking this call and talking to me. It's not just sales pitching. You can change your life in this call with me. I will give you powerful homework. It can shift your love life forever. No guarantees, but it's definitely possible. And at the end of this presentation, I'm going to share my link to book that free stop fighting session. Don't miss this opportunity. You have nothing to lose and you have everything to gain. So who am I to talk to you and tell you what to do? Well, so my name is Samantha Kierkegaard. I'm an author, speaker, but most importantly for you, I'm a coach. And that means interrupting stories. Changing your story, that's what I can help you do. Okay, and I'm also the founder of the 12 Steps to Lead with Love. So that's me in a nutshell. But why should you listen to me? You shouldn't listen to me just because I founded the 12 steps or whatever I did. You should, in my opinion, because failure is the key to greatness. That's the key to really understanding and being able to help people. And really, I grew up in a war zone and I created the exact same failure in my family until I learned this. I'm not the couples coach that's going to show you how to have a happy 20-year marriage, but what I can do is I'm going to shift you from being stuck, telling the same story, getting the same result, ending up in war, or shifting from war to love like that. I'm going to give you the pathway, the roadmap, the keys, whatever you want to call it, the opportunity, because I created the same complete war zone in my family until I learned this. I saw the damage it did to my kids, to myself, to my it, and I didn't know I could get out of it. I felt so stuck and powerless. Okay, nobody's been more angry, more managed by their emotions than me. I'm pretty sure, and we don't have to get into that today. But just trust me on that one. And nobody has failed as many times as me. That's why I became the expert. It's because I failed so many times, and that's, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen, that's why I think you should listen to me. So, because if I can learn to manage my emotions, so can you. Yeah. So, what you're about to learn today, it's not something you can learn in any kind of coaching school or seminar or things like that, even though you're in a webinar right now, right? It's based on my 10-year marriage. I think it's pretty important to know where it comes from. So, 7 years of fighting and loving, lots of love, but lots of fights, and a really unhealthy dynamic. Not for a lack of love, but this is what's going on, right? This is exactly what's going on. So I've been where you are, unless you're fighting more passively and not as aggressively, or I don't know what it looks like, but this is what it was like for me and my husband. So much love, but every word hit like a hand grenade. It's like, I don't know why words can hurt so much. And then he misunderstands the word, and the words just bounce back and forth. And all of a sudden, we're in each other's arms, but we had no clue how we got there. Like there were little things he said, actually started using my coaching. That was kind of funny. And I found out I didn't care that he was actually lying in a way because he took my sentence and used it. It's, oh, gee, now I understand some variation of that, but it's not the coaching today. Just to let you know, we fought like crazy. We loved each other like crazy. We had no control management over the situation, and it's not a healthy environment, especially not for your kids. So this journey of complete frustration, that's what it was for me. It's what I grew up in, that's what I created. And then frustration because it happened again and again, and I just didn't know what to do. Like, oh, that was me, literally. It could have been me. And then this was also me. But luckily, at that time when this picture was taken, it was a more permanent shift. That's me coming back from leadership training in the US. And that's what I call my training, is leadership training. It's not couples counseling or therapy. It's leadership training managed, focused around couples, right? So I'll get into that. But that's the journey. And for me, it took 7 years. But the longest journey of your life, from frustration to connection to peaceful bliss, and I can prove this, only takes 1 second. You may have noticed when a shift happens, but you don't choose it. It's not intentional. So this is 1 second shift. This happens when you practice. And what does practice mean? That means you get good homework and you actually start doing it. You do what your coach tells you to. And then, okay, what kind of homework? There's so much advice out there, and there's so much to do, right? But that's when you can experience that it really only takes 1 second. At least that's what my students have experienced again and again when doing the homework. And not by chance. There's a recipe behind things. Okay. What homework? Let me share how I ended up learning this secret. Why did it come to me? Well, it didn't come overnight, as you know. It came from frustration, and it came from, having no other choice. I really had to figure this stuff out. Otherwise, it was really, really dangerous. So my journey started out asking experts because I couldn't understand it. I love him so much. Why am I so angry at my husband? It was just like puzzling to me, and it was destructive, and it was dangerous, and there were other points in my life, but overall that's how I came about doing this line of work, because I was generally interested in why I got so much hate and love towards the ones I love the most. So much hate and anger. Sorry. So because I really wanted to figure it out, and I also had to, because I love him and our family so much, and there's nothing more important to me, still isn't. That's in a nutshell the surrounding by how I came to interview over 100 of the world's best and most amazing experts in communication, relationship, um, leadership and therapy and just amazing, amazing people like Janet O'Neill. She founded the Work Life Balance in IBM. She does amazing work. Mark Goldstein, he's a hostage negotiator for the FBI. And he actually wrote a book called Talking to Crazy, and a very, very popular book. So, in this context, I'm the crazy one, but and people had to cover it up. I remember him telling that it's very valuable what he knows. And Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., his father Miguel Ruiz, he wrote the four agreements that's used by the Navy SEALs. So epic, amazing, amazing people. I also collaborated with, in my opinion, one of the one and only John Gray. If you're my age, you might know him. And it was amazing and amazing. He has profound wisdom, this man, and there's no doubt about that. He's a legend. Also, Kelly Koshow, I had the pleasure of interviewing her. She is the CEO of the Ford Institute, who's founded by Debbie Ford, who is the number one New York Times best-selling author. She's known for her shadow work. And the Ford Institute has helped tens of thousands of people to transform their lives in amazing, amazing ways. And here's Debbie being interviewed by Oprah Winfrey. She actually died at age 58, which is interesting to me because what led me to this work, this is another story of mine it's not super relevant, but just give you a brief intro to that. My mom, who was the angry one to begin with, right? That's where I got it from. She died at the age 58, and that's what shifted my whole lifeline, but life cycle to do this work to process her early death. I had to process my relationship with my mother, and that led me to start doing this coaching series, interview series, and go to leadership training. And it ended me up in California, really, that she left this earth in her human form. So it was interesting to find out that Debbie Ford passed away the exact same age. So this work is very connected to my experience with my dear mother, who's now an angel up in heaven. And the story here to tell you guys is this. Though they were great, amazing people, and they helped build my platform, and they introduced me to the world, and they were so supportive, and I loved interviewing them. That's how I tapped into my life's mission, right? But what they told me, what their advice was to the audience, not me, right? When I went home and tried to implement it, it just made me more sad because my husband didn't want to do date night or couple, all these normal things you can do in a relationship that's not as dysfunctional at the core, because I was dysfunctional at the core. I just couldn't implement it. He didn't want to do that. It didn't work in my marriage with my anger issues. So because they were so extreme, I developed my own 12 steps to lead with love, which came about from various aha moments. And I just want to share one moment with you in a brief while. But that's how the 12 steps and my unique approach came to be. It was formed after interviewing people, basically because it didn't work in my own marriage, but it still touched my soul and helped me tremendously, and I'm forever grateful. You can see Rihanna Milne down here and Make Love Not War. Amazing, amazing. Also with parenting, I just loved connecting with these amazing people, and that's how my work came to be. So the story I want to share with you, that's also part. It's not just interviewing. It's all the experiences in my 10-year marriage, really. So one day, and I'll never forget it, I hung up the phone after talking to my mom. God bless, she was still alive. And I made a decision that made me the leader, not the follower of my emotions that day. That's the decision, also the promise I was talking about. Okay. So that day was the first time in my entire life that I became the leader and not just the follower. Up until that day, I'd followed my emotions, thinking I had no control over them at all. Whether it was whatever, lust, hunger, alcohol, drugs, whatever you can be addicted to, I've been addicted to it and ran after it. And if I fell in love, I thought I had no control over that either. I never imagined that I could manage my emotions. I was always managed by them. But that day, without really knowing it, I made a decision to never ever say or think another negative thing about my husband again. And I just had that same conversation that I had with my mother on the phone so many times with my girlfriends, and and it was because I didn't know what else to do. So I thought I could somehow cure the problem by talking about it, and it created the exact. So I just made that decision. This conversation cannot go on. This is not leading me anywhere to keep talking about how frustrating it is or what he's doing wrong and what I'm doing right. Like that conversation. Eh. So I made that decision, and I can still recall the day, and that really changed everything for me to just make that decision. So it's not just saying it out loud, it's also thinking it, but you can start by what you're thinking. Just think about when you talk negatively about your husband and realize what that's doing for you. Absolutely nothing at best. Okay, so what can this training do for you? Here are some examples that I see again and again, but I love Denise's also because she was just on a 5-day free training. Okay. It's what you wrote. I am 52 and I've been looking for this my whole life. It has allowed me such a relief. And notice that we get relief in many ways that don't work. This works. And it is also a relief, right? So I swear he's been listening to these recordings. He has been showing me in so many ways that he loves me. He tries to be cleaner. He talks so much nicer to me, and we have the most awesome talks, even about feelings. So who doesn't want to talk about feelings? And still no fight. I don't know. WTF, what the beep, but I'm just loving it while it lasts. It is giving us time to have fun and see what we can have. Now we just have to make that choice daily. I just broke down and cried. It felt so good. Isn't that amazing? He didn't listen to the recordings. He didn't know. She was just doing a 5-day free online training when I was in a Facebook group. It wasn't even on Zoom. And she listened and we connected and she just did new things, thought new thoughts, right? So that's amazing. And she was in a tough space. I remember anger, everything. It was really, really hard for her. So no matter what you're going through, this can help you, I think. So this is what an email I found from someone who booked a free session, and it's just to see the comparison of the state of mind before doing the free call, right? I'm feeling quite desperate, anxious, and desperate. And depressed, sorry. Desperate, anxious, and depressed. 3 words I can relate to thinking back to my marriage before I learned this leadership training and these principles. I'm extremely concerned about my anger issues. I feel like it will affect the kids. So you're not the only one if this is also you, right? So before the call, this is the situation. It's been really hard emotionally. We argue a lot. We don't really have a lot of respect for each other. I'm scared we'll break up when really and truly I would like to save this for all of us, especially for our boys. This is after the call. After one conversation, mind you, it was a really not optimal, but God was helping. Um, so what she's saying here after the call is I can tell you that it works when they see that you're not fighting or getting angry, just trying to forget the negativity and changing and becoming more positive. Then he will see how you have changed and it will make him change too. Right. And I can tell you that she was very, very happy after the call. And these are some unexpected breakthroughs in their husbands. It's not unexpected anymore. It's just funny that he said, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it, right? Exactly like Isabella's partner. He didn't say that, but he started changing because she started listening to this. That's all she did. I don't even know. I don't think she implemented any of it. She listened to it and she agreed with it in her mind. They can sense what we're telling ourselves. They know our dialogues. And it's so funny that he said, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. So that just goes to show this is you lead you, you get the result you want. You don't lead him or try to lead him. You don't tell him what to do. It's not the answer. This is what you want because even if he does what you push him to, he's going to resent you for it's not the solution. It's not, it's very temporary, like peeing in your pants. That's what my coaching should be called. Stop peeing in your pants. So, okay, I haven't even taught you anything as such yet, but what you will learn today is this number one secret to communication. Ooh. And also why you must stop explaining and start leading. That's why I asked in the beginning if you ever explain anything to your husband. You also learn a powerful mindset shift that changes everything. And you'll get the roadmap to go from chaos to connection. This is all to get you to stay tuned because it does take a little while for the brain, requires a little patience. But you will be able to. I don't know if you'll be able to. I can't promise you that, but you'll know how to manage your emotions. And once you start practicing it, you will also know how to stay grounded no matter what goes on around you. Show up as the loving mother, wife, and woman that you are. This is what you'll get out once you start practicing and learning to take the path from chaos to connection. Today, I'm going to show you the path. I'm pretty sure it's going to be unexpected. It's not what other people think to teach you. But let me know. Maybe some variation here and there, but it's not this focus. And once you take that in, this is what you're going to be able to do. Does that sound amazing? Stay grounded no matter what goes on around you. I don't do that all the time, but I had those experiences and I remember when it shifted, and then you get so much faith because I can do it. I can do it again instead of the other way. You're like, ah. So, yeah. Okay. What if? What if the way to get what you want is the exact opposite of what you do and what your brain tells you to? What if it's just the opposite? What if all you have to do is the opposite? What if you didn't have to wait for your husband to do something different? Play with your mind. What if you don't, you imagine that? You don't have to wait for him to do anything because you're going to wait forever, right? It's a bad strategy. Wait for him to change your, take out the dishes. You're going to wait forever, girl. You can get everything. What if you can get everything you want right now without having to wait for him to change? So here's another imagination part. We're going to let that hang, all right? But it's a great what if. What if there's a valuable gift of learning in everything that pisses you off about your husband? That's what I call it, actually. Everything that triggers you about you. What if that was a valuable gift? And really valuable? Like, what if every trigger was a gold mine? How rich would you be? This is how rich I am today. And this is how I give this richdom, if you can say that, onto people. Is when I coach, they figure out there is really a gift in every trigger. Isn't that amazing? You can start spinning it into gold. Okay, so here's the roadmap of how to unwind or mine all that gold, all those triggers, right? So it's acknowledgement. I need help. My relationship is dysfunctional. I'm not trying to make it worse or better than it is. It's just you need help. It's not working. Okay. That's the first step. Then you start. Then when you train with me, this is what I ask you. What do you really want? And you really think about that. What do I really want? Not really think about it. When I ask why is that important, at some point you get to a why that kind of makes you cry. Like, I don't want to pass this on to my kids. But also, what I really want is the Northern Star. It's not what don't you want, but what do you want? So that question, that light bulb, we tend to forget it and we think about what we don't want. But what do you truly want? That's the first part of the roadmap. And then manage your emotions to get what you want. Very simple. Here's what I want, and here is where I am now, and this is what I'm doing. This is not getting me. So what you want is the evaluation of what you're doing. If what you're doing doesn't get you what you want, like a peaceful love relationship, then it's bad behavior or bad strat. Whatever you're doing just doesn't work. I call it bad just because it's not getting you what you want. It's not a moral evaluation. Remember that. It's just, okay, you don't have to call it bad. It's just, okay, it didn't work compared to what I want. What I want is not created in my family. It's not peaceful. They're not happy. We're not having a fun time. So you get to learn to manage your emotions to react in a way that actually gives you what you want, creates what you want around you. And the way to manage your emotion to get the result that you want is by managing your mind. Good. How do you manage your mind? You start admitting your stories, what you're telling yourself. We just went over it in the beginning to see if this is you. So it's not, you're not an angry mom. You're not a failure. This is a story that you attach to some emotions. This is a story that you're telling. Sometimes your husband may say it too and your kids, but that doesn't matter, right? So these are one set of stories. That's not the ones we're talking about today, really, because they're a little deeper. They could be stories about why the beep doesn't he take the beer bottles off the table or take out the trash, or why he's not home on time when I want him to. Those are the kind of stories I'm talking about here. But at end of the day, everything is a story, right? So admit your bad stories. And they're bad because they lead to bad behavior that give bad results. Or maybe you're also telling yourself that you married a loser or whatever. That's a bad story, right? It's a really bad story. Whatever it is, that's your bad story. You admit them and then you stop them. That's how you manage your mind. And that's how you manage your emotions. Sounds so super simple, right? But it's very hard to stop your story. And it can even be hard to recognize it and admit it. But that, of course, is number one. You can't stop a story that you're not admitting that you're telling, right? But you are the one telling it. And sometimes I write selling in parentheses because you're selling yourself the story, whatever it is. Maybe small little, we're talking about small stories here, day to day stories. Like, he's not here on time. Like the ones I was telling my mom on the phone, those kind of stories. Anything negative, anything that has to do with what he's doing wrong and what you're doing right, and any kind of balanced scorecard of how much you're doing. And unbalanced scorecard is what I call it. But at business school, there's actually something called balanced scorecard. Any kind of story, negative story, right? That's it. You're the one telling it. You may perceive it, but the kids need to get to bed on time. That's a story. It may be true. This is dangerous for the kids. You may point to it as a fact, but it's a story. Remember that. Your brain is going to say, but they need to get to bed on time to be fresh, and like stories nobody will argue with, at least, and especially not your mom. You go, it's still a story, right? Focus on what you want. Is it worth it to be right about that story? That's actually here, right here. You can't stop your story unless you stop wanting to be right about it. Whatever it is, I don't care. I had that story so many times, but the kids need to be in bed on time. Me saying that got the exact opposite result of what I wanted. So it may be true, but in a court case, you have tons of truth. There are so many truths that you can, but the lawyer takes one. That's bad with this background, right? The lawyer that's arguing for something picks up one of all these truths and points to the judge. That's you. You're arguing a case, no matter what you may think and perceive the reality to be. You're arguing it just like a lawyer that's presenting a truth to the judge. You already chose your story. You might not know it, but you're looking for the fact and the truth that you want to present to build your story, that you already made in your mind, that it's some kind of excuse, some kind of justification for what you don't realize is actually your own bad behavior. But we don't need to get into that as much today. Just know that whatever story, truth that may be so true, you can either be right, you can get the connection, and there are many truths to choose from. So there are fruitful truths. I love my husband. He wants the best for me. He's a great dad. He's really good, grounded. He's really loving and present. He's great dad. Doesn't matter if he's late or whatever the thing is that's up for you, right? All those bad things are not interesting for the story that you want to say to create the life that you want. I get that you want to resolve a problem and there's something standing in the way in your perception of the problem, but it's a story that you've chose to tell out of all these truths that you can pick up, right? So step number 3, stop your story. Stop wanting to have to be right about it. What are you going to gain? You're going to be right or you're going to be rich? Like, what do you want? Do you want to be right? That's fine. I told you in the beginning, then this coaching is not for you if you want to be right about your story. You have more stories than you care to really admit. I'm pretty sure. All right. So number 4. So you can't tell a new story unless you stop the old one, right? And number 4 is make that number 1 promise that I made the day after hanging up with my mom. Never ever say or think a negative thing about your husband. Of course, you're going to break it. If that's okay, then you make it again. You do what in my coaching, when you coach with me for 3 months, is step number 12, which you can get to really fast. It's called fail and recommit. That's a habit. There's nothing bad about failing because then you've admitted it and you can recommit to that promise. And every time you re-choose and recommit, you build your muscles stronger. Then you're overriding a habit. So failing, like me, I failed for years, failed and failed. I wasn't overriding a habit. I was discovering with aha moments slowly. But when you coach and you fail and you recommit to no blaming, whatever you're training, You recommit to more honesty and vulnerability, whatever new habit you're implementing. When you fail, it's great because that you admit that you failed, number one, and you choose to recommit. And every time you fail, it's an opportunity to recommit. Every time you recommit, you consciously, intentionally overwrite the old habit and implement the new. So failing is actually great. If it was easy, you wouldn't fail, right? You would not be implementing a new habit. So it's not bad to fail. It's an opportunity to recommit. That's why we have a celebration key or whatever bell, sorry, not a key. We have a bell, like a victory bell. Every time you fail, we go, woohoo! High five, just like with the kids when you do homework, right? It's misconception about failure. Like that's your chance to continue. So apart from the promise, here's what you can also do to shift your mind and change your stories is to ask better questions. Those two things. Make that number one promise, just one out of many things you can do, but that's what really rinses out. You want him to take out the trash, you take out the verbal trash inside your head and mind. You focus on what you can do. That's what you have control over, right? Lots of times we want our husband to take out the trash. You take your own out first, right? And that's why that one promise is so efficient because it really rinses out the trash in our head and take out the trash bags. And another way, apart from that promise, which is really powerful, is to ask some really key questions that are really good, great questions, because bad stories come from bad questions. Like, why the beep does that's a rhetorical question. Why doesn't he take the beer bottles off the table? It's nothing. I'm not curious about the answer, right? Good questions lead to good stories that lead to good behavior. But it's good because it gets you what you want. Bad questions lead to bad stories or bad answers that gets you the exact opposite of what you want. That's why focusing on what you want is important. And that's why I start all my coaching sessions with that. And still, when I've coached people for a long time, we still focus on that, the Northern Star. Because then we realize, oh, what I want, I can create right now. I can feel peace, love, and quiet. I just had a client now. And we just realized, you feeling, just when she said it, wow, what about saying I am? You seem so peaceful, loving, and calm. And she was exactly what you want. And then the brain comes. It's the brain that we need to train. So you're probably dying to know, what is this secret? Okay, this is the secret. It's not how you communicate with him that matters, it's how you communicate with yourself. That's that secret to communication that nobody really talks about. It's all I feel statements. I mean, come on. Oh, it should work for me, and I'm happy for all the couples that it works for. It's not my segment, it's not my deal, because it's not what you say that matters. It's how you feel when you say it. And that's what he's picking up on. That's what he's sensing. The other stuff, that's for other people, other situations. It didn't work for me. It doesn't work for my guys to say to rephrase things, wordings. That's just not enough. Maybe you can do that at work or so. I can do it here in the webinar. There are some words are better than others. I get that. But underneath it all, he senses what you feel. But you get that, right? You can say something and it's your tone of voice, right? So here's why you need to listen to me and learn how to manage your emotions. Since I was the number one expert at being managed by them. Because if you don't manage them, they're going to manage you. It's either or, right? They managed me my entire life until I made that decision to never say or think. And it's just a decision I made. Of course, I broke it a trillion times, but I clearly remember when I made it because that was intentional. I saw the answer, the light, just keep going. It's just a habit. Everything is a habit. If you don't manage your emotion and they manage you, sooner or later, you're going to drive off a cliff because insecurity is in the driver's seat. And when insecurity is driving the car, meaning your emotions, sooner or later, okay. And this just a recap. So the way to good communication, which really is the same as connection. For me, connection is more of a feeling of peace that's not like is not a variable variance. It's just stable. It's tapping into this core kind of really connection and peace and bliss that's always available to us. And it's also about connecting to my higher powers, to my husband, and to God. It's connection is just a good word. But you can really say that communication is about connection. It's the same, right? How do you manage your emotions? You manage your emotions by managing your mind. Overall, there are three ways to manage your mind. Number one, don't use it. So that means meditating, alpha brainwave state. I did it by jumping in the ice cold water So that could be some homework I could give you. I gave that to myself. That really helped to not use my mind and refresh it. Shock therapy. Number two is to change your day to day stories. And number three is to change this very long line I wrote here, but change the underlying story of your life. The day to day story, then you have an underlying story, some kind of variation of I'm not worthy of love, some story you made up about yourself or the world around you due to some traumatic event before puberty. It doesn't have to be a big classical trauma. It can be any small thing, or it's not small, but any like it could be a normal thing. Somebody just says something, and it just you make up a story right then and there. Okay, so not using your mind, day to day stories, underlying story. Those are the three main ways to manage your mind. How to rewire your underlying story. If you were to go to start with that, I'd say be kind of hypnotherapy or something, and it works great for some people. Obviously, I can't teach you that. I can't teach you unless you coach with me and I give you some homework how to not use your mind. That would be meditation, breath work. Amazing people do that. Here today, and what I can do is I can help you change your day to day stories and implement new habits as a way to manage your mind. I can, like I said in the beginning, I can interrupt that story because I'm really good at interrupting. It's not always good, but I'm good at it. Okay, that's the focus of today. Because your thoughts become your emotions. That's why you need to change your day to day stories. And your emotions shape your tone, your whole communication that determines how he responds. You clean up your day to day stories with that number one promise, for example, and just becoming aware of them, like I'm going to take you through today. How do you then change your stories concretely and practically? Right? You might even get him to do what you want. You're not supposed to focus on that to give you great result, but you're going to get, like you saw in the statements, right? You're going to have great talks even about emotions, but it starts in the opposite direction of what your brain tells you, like I said in the beginning. Okay, so how do we change our stories? The power of your stories. Understand that. That's the whole thing. I'm a failure at love. It's a story. You may have tons of evidence for that story. It's still a story. If you can create and find new evidence, you just need to work a little hard sometimes. And then once you understand it and you come to terms with it, you stop it. You give up being right. Also, just another habit. And then you choose to tell a different story. Tell a winning story. I'm peaceful. I'm loving. I feel connected. Da da da. Sometimes it can be the world is not agreeing with you and your emotions are not. But that's the recipe. That's how you change your story. And here comes the roadmap again. And here comes acknowledge and admit your stories. How do you do that? So this is the number one. Sorry about the extra slides. To understand the power of your stories, right? So to understand the power of your stories, you become aware of your emotions. And then you become immediately, there's a story attached to the emotion. Become aware and see what story follows it. So you may feel heartbroken, and then the story is, why doesn't he love me anymore? It happens very fast, but there's an emotion and then there's a story. And sometimes we can't figure out what is what because it happens so fast. You change your story. So, what stories are you telling yourself now? Please answer in the chat or answer on email because I'm reading this. Do you want to be right about that story? Is it so important to you? Or do you want to get to connection? That's basically the question. You can be right. Just hop off. I never see you again. Not that I don't want to, but if you want to be right, it's fine. I can't coach you. The way to connection is to give up being right about your story, acknowledge you're the one selling and telling it to yourself and nobody else. It's not that I'm going to cut you off and say I'm not going to coach you. We all have tons of stories. We can just, they become better and better, right? But if basically you want to be right about it, there is nothing I can do for you. Maybe somebody else can. So here's the other number two way to change your story, right? Is to ask better questions, shift your mental narrative. So here's some really great questions. What's really going on here? What do I truly want right now? Do I truly want my kid to do what I'm nagging him about, or do I want happy? Like it's not creating what I want. I feel like it's what I want in the moment. It's the solution I'm speaking out loud, but it's not really what I want. I'm enrolled in the story of how I want my husband to help more. I want him to do this. I'm pointing to, but is that really what I want? And then here comes the best question, number three. Gee, I wonder how he feels. As soon as you ask that question, you create connection with him. He doesn't know that you're asking the question, but as soon as you think about, gee, I wonder how he feels, that whole old narrative stops and you're over connecting with him. Your whole ego shrinks so you can see him and feel him. Your whole story, ego, whatever we call it, that's blocking the view. Gee, I wonder how he feels when I talk to him like a little child. And then you start, really understanding him and changing the story to feel more compassion and connected towards him. And that's communication right there. Ask better questions. There's another example of what you can do to stop and course correct yourself, your stories, your inner dialogue. Ask yourself this: hey, wait a minute, what did Coach Samantha say? What can I do right now without blaming, complaining, and hosting a huge pity party? Super valuable. That's what I implemented and practiced in my 12 steps. It's an integral part of how I carried out this training and how I teach it to others. It's just a question. You don't have to be able to do it. Just ask. And I had a student once say, what else is there left to do? But great question. What can I do right now without? Just ask it. You don't need to be able to do it. Just ask it. Then you're already managing your mind in the right direction. All right, we don't have that many more minutes left. So any of you who's watching this on replay, shoot me a message immediately to get a link to the calendar to book a call with me, right? So before I leave you, I just want to say, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, right? You start this journey by booking a free session. Acknowledge you need help and get it. Also, you just practice. Because why I want you to practice, why I always give homework is because then if the homework works, sometimes it backfires. But most of the times you get an immediate breakthrough and then you get a new experience. And that's the evidence that your brain is looking for and that is not seeing. That's the good evidence. Wow, I can do this. I remember the first time when I got the right response from my husband. I'm like, wow, I can do this. I did that intentionally, and now he's happy and I'm happy, right? So practice gives you belief and trust and faith because you start seeing it in your reality. You want that immediate positive experience. That's what I give you. And then a lot of hard work, but you need the first experience of the magic, and that's what people get. But that doesn't change your life. You still need to coaching. Isabel, she went on for 3 years, and then she reached out for coaching because she only got that one call. And you can contact me to get that testimonial conversation. I'm not going to play it because we're running short on time. Just to let you know, you change habits one story at a time or one new homework that you implement. It doesn't have to be the story thing. It can also be a conversation I tell you to have, and then you get that experience, and then you become, wow, I can do this. But keep choosing honesty. And honesty is honesty about you, not him. And honesty about how do I really feel. That may not work in the moment, but just to show you the overall. And just keep choosing this. If I don't see you again and I don't hear from you, please do this. What story am I telling myself? And what do I really want? That's what I wish for you today to take away with you at home. There's also a slide of what it costs not to do this. And just, you probably know it already, so I'm not going to tell you. It's not good, right? The price is high. And right now, there is no entry barrier for booking the call. It's a free conversation, 45 to 60 minutes, deep dive conversation with me. I don't usually offer this, but I'm back on track coaching and I'm eager to serve. And at some point, somebody else is going to help you do this. But right now, you get me to help you. And that's a unique experience. So much love to you. Peace and love from Denmark. Have a lovely, lovely evening or rest of the day. Book that call. Reach out. Get some help.